It was recorded like 48 hours at least, because he was not aware of the events happened in the west of Libya. And people rushed down to the streets. They'd already been out in the streets even before that speech. They went to the Green Square to fight with the rest of these paid pro-government protesters. The mercenaries opened fire on the people there. They used grenades, they used anti-aircraft weaponry against peaceful demonstrators in the Green Square. I can tell you for now, I cannot confirm any numbers, but once the morning is out, there will be a bloodbath in Tripoli.
May I ask, were you there?
Hello?
Hello, were you there in Green Square when this occurred?
I wasn't in the Green Square itself, but I was pretty much nearby. I was driving in the streets. The scenes I've seen, I've never seen before in Tripoli. I mean, there were groups of people carrying white weapons. These are the anti-government protesters. All the pictures of the Gaddafi were tortured on fire. The main highway in Tripoli is blocked now with burned cars and burned tires. Streets are blocked with burned tires. I mean, and I have to say, the Libyan people were very disappointed and even shocked at safe speech. I mean, the guy was still using the language of threat and fighting until the last bullet. So we all know now it's his family against the Libyan people.
What do you plan and others plan to do next? Is there coordination at all, or is it simply a desire to return to Green Square?
I think it's just a spontaneous movement from different areas in Tripoli. And I can tell you also that a couple of hours ago there was a deadly battle near AlJazeera compound, and that is the compound where the Gaddafi family actually lives. It's a very strengthened fortress, and we are hearing reports that I've been talking to some people that there were very heavy machinery open on them. The other thing, the fact I have to mention here, is the ordinary military and also the normal security forces have joined the people. The only people who are opening fire at the people in Tripoli are the mercenaries. I have to confirm another thing. I've been talking to a doctor who I know very well. He confirmed to me that these mercenaries are on drugs. That's why they don't realize what they're doing. They said they checked their blood samples and they found out they had been taking some sort of drugs. We don't know, really. I mean, we are very, very surprised with what is happening, and we feel that it's going to be a big massacre happening over the next couple of hours.
I can bring you up to date, and indeed our viewers, that the US is now beginning to comment on what's being said. We just have a wire from a US official. They're seeking clarification from Libyan officials and are urging them to avoid violence against peaceful protesters. Does that put your mind at rest?
No, it doesn't at all. And actually, I mean, I have to tell you, I'm a British Libyan citizen, okay? So I've been born and brought up in the UK, but I mean, my parents are Libyan and I'm a Libyan. We are very, very disappointed at the international response we're seeing at the moment. It's very, very shameful, the kind of comments we're getting from the US administration and even the EU. I mean, we've seen these events taking place in other places with other stronger reaction. I mean, Libyan people are saying now that maybe the Libyan oil is more important than the Libyan people. I mean, what is happening is a massacre. If you compare the numbers, the confirmed numbers of dead people to the revolution in both Egypt and Tunisia, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't understand. It seems to me like I've been talking to a lot of people that the West until this moment haven't made their mind yet. And they're waiting and balancing things, and they can't make a decision to which side they should be siding with. This is very, very shameful. This is very, very disappointed. We are waiting even for the Security Council to intervene and make a very strong statement about the events taking place.
Now, their argument would be, look, we don't want to interfere in the internal affairs. In fact, President Obama or Secretary of State Clinton speaking out forcefully on behalf of the protesters will take legitimacy away from those protesters. Would you agree?
sorry, I couldn't understand your question. You say Secretary of State was saying...
Well, what they always say to us is that they don't want to seem to be taking sides, partly in some ways because their intervention will be used by Muammar Gaddafi to say, look, you see, it's all being orchestrated from Washington.
But we're already hearing this very strange language from the regime. They're already saying that all this is a conspiracy. It's organized by some international organizations. The whole Libyan people, of course, doesn't believe these statements from the state TV anymore. But I mean, what we want to see is some stronger comments and even some threats and some sanctions as well. How can they allow this to continue in Libya? I mean, I want to understand what is the point, or where is the point that the West is going to stand up and they're going to say, enough is enough, this is the time we will have to intervene. What I mean by intervening, I mean condemnation, and I'm even taking actions against this regime, because this regime at the moment has already committed crimes against the humanity.
Thank you very much, Bashir. So we have that impassioned voice from Libya. We also have our senior political analyst, Mohan Bashara, still with us from New York. So now we are getting these lines from Washington. Obama being kept abreast of Libya events. US considering, quote, all appropriate actions, according to a US official. The US is studying Gaddafi's speech to see what prospects for meaningful reform, says a US official. What do you make of what we're hearing now?
Well, you know, as everyone knows, these so-called reforms have been promised for years. And to honestly try to decipher the rambling of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi is not becoming for the president of a superpower like the United States. It's time for Western countries, it's time for the international community, exactly as Bashir said, to take action against a regime that is carrying war crimes against its own people. And that can easily be sanctions and so on and so forth, and making it clear to the Libyan people and to the region and to the world that they will no longer deal with such an outlawed regime. It's really very clear and simple. But to keep on studying while people are being massacred is not exactly the right thing to do.
But might not that taint a revolution which many suspect has issues of oil and others entwined with it? Won't it just seem like the US is jockeying for position for the next regime to take place and give them the concessions that actually really is their main concern in the first place?
Well, look, I mean, there's a problem here in Washington, is that they've had all the information over the last several years, several months and weeks about what is going on in the Arab world. Every single CIA report and every single Pew polling tells what is going on in the Arab world. The problem is that Washington hasn't been listening and hasn't been really putting the information together to understand. And that's why it's been caught by surprise, it's caught in the headlights, and it's finding it more and more difficult to respond to these events. But in the end of the day, it's that invisible Libyan, that invisible Tunisian, invisible Egyptian, that invisible Arab that Washington has been blinded to because of the question of oil, like in the question of Libya, because of the question of Israel.